folks, welcome back to Attingham Park. We have made it through winter and early spring. Grazing has kicked back in, and so most of the animal feeding is taken care of. And what I wanted to do before we get into planting the maize, which is the main job for today, I wanted to kind of do a quick run through of how winter went. As you can see, we still have a lot of straw left. The straw use doesn't seem to be as high as I expected it to be with maizePlus, but you know, it's been enough. But that's going to go badly, isn't it? That's going to go badly. Let's go higher up. Everything else, so we have used the vast majority of our grass silage. Don't have many bales of that left at all. We have used the majority of the hay as well. Don't have much of that left. That's been being used to feed the dairy cows and the beef. I ended up feeding the beef through the winter as well. Just to just to get a feel for how much feed we would get through playing properly. The sheep have been using the conditioned grass bales that I made at the end of autumn, and they use pretty much all of them. So we have had winter lambs, I guess. They arrived in January-ish, I think. And so grazing is going to keep those girls fed now. The beef are 7 months old, and grazing is going to take care of them. The dairy cows, I think we're going to need to feed still. I don't think grazing is going to take care of them, so I am still going to put in some TMR, at least until I'm comfortable that grazing is going to take care of them. We are only a couple of months away from our first calves, and we have 56,000 litres of milk stocked up. I need to sort out a way to get rid of that, or sell it rather than get rid of it. I have made a change to grazing, and I will try and remember to put it on the screen. I had meant to remind myself to have a notepad handy so that when I say things like that, I can actually remember to do it. What I've done is I've changed the minimum state that animals will graze at from 1 to 2. Now, that is going to have, I think, 2 quite subtle effects. One, the grass won't be grazed so short, so visually the game will look better. That normally doesn't bother me so much, but I wanted to give that a try. And the other thing is it effectively removes a growth state that is available early on for the cows to graze from, so it would have meant that the grazing wouldn't have kicked in until May, and potentially it would stop a month earlier as well. I don't know, can't remember when cows are turned out in the UK for grazing, but basically I wanted to try that, and I'll drive over and I'll show you why. So this is growth state 1 grass, just here. And this is growth state 0 grass, which looks a bit rubbish, personally. So hopefully the change will mean that the shortest the cows will graze the grass is to this length, so visually it will look better. I have expanded the grazing areas, or the foliage areas for grazing, cover more of the pasture as well, so we don't get the edges, hopefully. And you can see, yeah, food wise, so we've used basically about 50 bales of maize silage, and I say the vast majority of the grass silage. We have, I don't know, what's that, 2, 4, 8, 11, and then plus 60, about 27 bales of grass silage left, and a small stack of hay bales. So, yeah, we're yeah. Probably what I should be doing is feeding more of the maize, because the clamp is sort of emptied. All of that went into my experiments with the BGA rather than being fed to the animals. So we would have had a lot of maize silage left, which obviously would have eked out the grass a bit more through the winter. So yeah, that would definitely have been, probably thinking about it, a better way to manage feeding the cows. Gonna check. I forgot. Yeah, I've been varying. I haven't done it yet, and I know I said I would. I haven't added in the custom TMR recipes. I've been varying what I've been feeding. So the young stock, I've been getting the young stock TMR mix, which is, I think I did it last video. Basically, I've been mixing grass silage. I think it was grass silage, maize silage, hay, and straw. And that was pretty much enough to keep them fairly well fed. How are we doing here? We're 83%. I would normally put some beet pulp silage in, but I've run out of those bales, so we need to go over and make some more of those. So what I'm thinking is we will put in some grain mix and some molasses, and yep, we can use those to finish this off. Yeah, so it's been a I'm glad we've got through winter. It's not so much fun playing, because I don't do fun on here. I'm not doing things like doing forestry through the winter, so I was literally just feeding the animals. Obviously we had the couple of videos on pumps and hoses, which seemed quite popular, and I am going to be using that through the rest of this as well, but more of an add-on, I guess. Good news, if you're not on the maizePlus Discord, the latest update of maizePlus, which is being tested at the moment internally within the team, fixes the issue of being able to put in the different silage types into the pumps and hoses BGA. So that's quite cool. I went too far. That silo runs far too quickly. We've not got any room for molasses, and we don't seem to have TMR anymore, because I put 16% of grain grist in. For some reason it's turned into alfalfa hay. Interesting. Yeah, so that's fixed, so you'll be able to put in brain work. Be able to put the different types of silage into the pumps and hoses BGA, which is really cool. So I'm looking forward to that as an option. It's still coming out as alfalfa hay. Yeah, and it's if you haven't, the changelog is up on the maizePlus Discord. And the other cool thing that's coming, and I can't remember if I've mentioned it or not, is green mowing for wheat, barley and oats for the whole crop silage. 17% now. But I've really messed up this mixture, haven't I? 15%. Is it going to drop to 15%? No. So I need to slow that silo down. Drop a bit more out. There we go. It's thinking about changing. So why is it? I'm not sure why. It thinks we've put in alfalfa hay. Oh, because we did hay. That's why. It was the last. Yeah. It was the last, one of the last ingredients we put in, so it's defaulted to that group. Why? jump out and look, because we don't want to put too much molasses in now and screw it up. We can put 12% molasses in, so please switch. 16. Switch. I'm going to throw a bale of silage in here. And hopefully as it changes, it'll switch over. This is the first mix that I've screwed up, and it's because I've changed my recipe. Because this is the first mix that I've done. We literally, yesterday's feeding, used the last of the beet pop silage bales, and don't know why I didn't think to go and make some. But, you know, it means it's taken me 10 minutes to sort out feeding these cows. Oh, it's all going so well. Hopefully this will work. There we go. Please be TMR now. Please be TMR. I think it's maize silage now. Again, it's because it's the last ingredient that's gone in and it's not a TMR mix. So this will probably go in as maize silage now. And then hopefully it'll swap at some point as the ratio comes correct. So if we do this, you'll see that at the moment we are 16.6% grain mix. So we need that to drop, and it's actually going up. So that's probably a really horrible visual effect, so I'm going to switch over to here. And we are alternating between maize silage, grass silage, and other stuff. So we've done a really bad job of feeding so far. Let's see if we can rescue this now. Oh, this is not going well, is it? Let's try some more grass silage, shall we? Yes, I should be unwrapping them, but at this point I'm kind of scrambling to fix feeding this cow, this TMR mix. Now let's have a look. Grain mix is still 17%. Please switch there. What's not in spec? Grain mix must be just ever so slightly wrong. While we ramble on about this, you may or may not have seen also that we've actually still got space in here. That 4D has released the fixed version of this mixer. I don't know if you watched my video. I'm completely stuck now. That would be amusing if he had. Basically what he has done is implemented the change that was in my video and then released it as a updated version, which if you don't want to go in and mess with the XML is really helpful, because it's a really nice mixer. I am still thinking that we need a bigger mixer on here. That would make things like what I'm dealing with now less of a problem. So what I've been doing to explain this utter screw up, because we're now 15 minutes in, is I have been doing one bale of grass silage, maize silage, hay and beet pulp silage, and then topping up the mixer with grain mix, so it didn't matter that silo was too fast. Now what's not right? It should be TMR. Yes, finally. Wow. Yeah, so I've not run into this problem over the winter. Anyway, I'm going to get these fed and we'll be back to do some maize seeding. Well, that mess is sorted. And before we get into the planting, I just want to say thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Really appreciate you guys supporting the channel. In particular, your sort of commitment to the channel. It's not a long-term commitment, I know, but I feel that it gives me confidence in what I'm doing. Has meant that I was able to sort out the rendering machine, which is really helping out. And now that I have the good laptop back as well, we're in a really good place in terms of being able to produce content, which is really nice. I can actually see some weeds in the distance there, which I want to check before we get into planting, because it looks like we might have some weeding to do. We do. We'll need to get ourselves a sprayer. So yeah, gonna get the corn planted now. We have the Kinsey 3665 blue drive. I really like the Kinsey stuff. Are we actually planting? Texture's horrible. We are. Cool. So I'm re-achieving all the achievements because this is a fresh install of FarmSim, because the laptop was delivered back with a clean install of Windows 10. So yeah, that tree looks kind of funky. I have really cranked the graphics settings up, so I'm kind of surprised that those trees are behaving strangely. We have now a 400% render distance, so there is really not much of a ring of death that you can see, which is really nice. Having had to play on kind of wound down settings for 2 months, it's really nice to have full performance back. You know, we're at solid 60 FPS. And yeah, the computer doesn't seem to be working particularly hard to run the game and record. Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. It took me a long time to get the laptop set back up with everything on it, and finding all the license keys for everything and reinstalling everything. But yeah, and I know I moaned about PC Specialist a lot, but actually in the end, the real delay was waiting for shipping from China. And well, yeah, it was. They were waiting for a new motherboard to come from China. They obviously don't keep... They did have one in stock when the laptop went back, but it failed testing when they installed it. God, that view looks good so far away. So I had to wait for them to order a new one. The one they've put in, I don't think is the one they ordered for me. Because I have a 3080 now instead of a 3070 graphics card. Obviously that kind of stuff is I think is hard mounted into the motherboard. So yeah, I am suspicious that when I phoned up to ask and they realised it had been so long, that they might have pulled another one off of something else to install, and then maybe out of another machine or something. But actually it looks new, so I don't think it was that. I don't know, but I've had an upgrade, so I'm not going to complain. And it's really nice to be back gaming on a modern gaming PC. The Dell that I was using was very old. So the nice thing about this Kinsey seeder is it's a direct drill. So although we have ploughed a lot of these fields and then cultivated them, we'll still get the direct drill bonus with precision farming, which I know is very cheaty, but you know, I'm not going to complain about that. You'll see I've still got auto drive installed because now I can run all the script mods that I like, and we'll probably be making more use of auto drive going forward. That tree texture is really bugging me. That is something I need to look at. Might not have cranked up the foliage textures. Yep, we'll have to have a look at that when I go out of the game. Going to get a GPS line going. Should have put some fuel in this tractor. So we've got 3 fields of maize to plant for silage for the cows. I'm half thinking that might be too much. We kind of did 2 fields of maize last year, and we got a lot of that through the BGA. Actually pondering changing my plan and planting one of them as grass, because we got low on grass silage and hay. And I'll just get going and I'll show you what I'm thinking. And this is just kind of, actually we'll wait until we're on a straight run and then I'll show you. This has just kind of occurred to me as I'm planting it, which means we could have planted it way earlier, because obviously we can plant grass earlier than corn. Normally what I would do as well is put in a winter cover crop of grass in the fields that are going to have corn in them. Didn't do that this time for some reason, because that would have been nice, a bonus first cut. In fact, actually we wouldn't have got a cut off of here yet, so that might not have worked with how this geo is set up. Right. Ignore that. Actually it might have been harvestable. Not sure. Anyway, that'll do. So we've got 28 and 29 that we're going to do as corn. I'm thinking about planting 26 as grass. That'll give us that whole big area, well, those 4 fields as grass. I think that might be better for the balance of feed for this year. These 2 fields of corn should yield enough for what we're using. We might not end up using the clamp, we might bale it all, but yeah, because I think I only did, trying to remember, I think this field was corn. This field or that field were corn, which went in the clamp. And then field 26 was corn that I baled. I need to go and fix. Okay, I have done a fair bit of work, and I was just about to say I've sort of sorted the trees, but I guess it's because of the distance they are at. I had edited the game settings XML to push the draw distance up to 400%, because I'd heard people saying to do that, and it seemed to change how the trees behave. They still don't look great. I don't know whether it's this map in particular, but because I have only played this map on lower settings previously, but yeah, it's, comment below, they say, to give me some suggestions on graphic settings to sort those trees out, because they look kind of rubbish. It's only one type of tree, and what's bugging me is if I go into ProShot and turn up the quality, they appear. So something is not right. Maybe I need to have a look in ProShot and see what settings that applies when I change the quality up. Because if it looked like that, be happy. You know, that looks really good. If I come out of that, the trees look crap. It's got to be something in my game settings that is making them look like that. So yeah, suggestions below, please. I got most of this field planted already, because I figured I may as well get some of it done in the background, and then we'll go over, we'll plant field 28 with corn, and then we'll grab the cedar and we'll put grass in the other field that we were going to do, because as I said, I think this will be more than enough corn or maize, or maize silage ultimately, or corn silage, depending on where you're from, to cover off our feeding needs. And the cows are still wandering in the road. Really need to get that fence fixed. Anyway, yeah, so I think more grass will be better, and I am half tempted. Actually, we don't need to buy them. In 2 months we'll have our first calves. So I was going to say I'm half tempted to buy more cows, but although it might be wise to sell on the calves rather than feeding them, I've not looked at how the value of Holstein calves increases versus, you know, feeding them. Because generally you would long-term raising them to have more cows, dairy cows, versus the beef, which obviously, you know, if you can feed them cheaply, you can make money out of them. Right? We're just feeding them grass. The other thing that I've been pondering, and it's not going to come into effect for a while now because we're into April, is unless we get short of grass, tweaking grazing so that it behaves a bit like indirect grazing, but I think it's more common in the UK. Don't lay in the road, cow. That you would, any extra feed you would give would probably be silage rather than hay. So what I was thinking of doing is editing things so that as we get later in the year, just finish this row and then I'll talk about it. And this was something that occurred to me while I was out running at lunchtime today. I'm going to leave that little gap. Yeah, so rather than, you know, grazing fills all 4 bars, and if you feed fresh grass, so if you do indirect grazing with fresh grass, you fill base food, moisture food, and power food. What I'm thinking is as we get later in the year, we'll swap it so grazing does roughage, moisture food, and power food, and we buffer feed with silage. Because I think that reflects more of how it's done in the UK. Based on a huge sample of 2 farmers on YouTube, sort of occurred to me yesterday when I was watching Cow Farmer Dan's latest video, where his cows are now in for the daytime and they're being buffer fed silage. So yeah, I was thinking about implementing that as we get later into the year. I think some of these things, you know, it's going to be interesting just to experiment with, to see how it works. See, grazing is set up to behave in one way, but that may not reflect how things work where you're based or where you're playing. So yeah, I'm thinking about making that change, which should just make things a bit more interesting later in the year. And it may be because we don't have a lot of cows. I find grazing makes things a little too easy at some points of the year. You know, I'm expecting now that we can just pretty much ignore the beef cattle through to winter, unless we decide to sell them on. That could be because we don't have enough in there for the size of pasture, so that they're always, you know, they are always being grazed apart from when grass isn't growing. I don't know. The fact we have grazing is really cool. It just takes away something from caring for the animals. Again, the trees are being a nightmare. See, it should look like that. Game, you should look like this all of the time. Not going to worry about getting into that corner of the headland. So yes, what I'm thinking of tweaking it so that we have to, as we get later in the year and the grass quality drops off, we have to do some extra work to keep the cows well fed. That will mean we have to do that work with the beef cattle as well, unless we change the grass that they are on. So what you can do is there's options within the grazing mod to, if you've got, you know, so if we painted that field with meadow grass, for example, I could keep it so that meadow grass does all of them, and then the grass that's in the dairy pasture, which is proper grass, does only the 3. Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting when we get to Terra Life and we've got clover and alfalfa, because you could have those behaving differently, and you could plant patches of those in your pasture and almost, you know, completely change how grazing works. Oh yeah, I'm excited about that. I've had one person ask, but if one person's asked, that means probably more interested about when the English streams are going to come back. At the moment, all I can say is soon. Paul's working on getting Carlston set up for Terra Life Alpha, and also suffering quite badly with migraines at the moment. So don't know when we'll start those up, but soon, probably within the next few weeks. And yeah, that's going to be really good. You'll get to start to see some of the things that are coming with Terra Life. There are no timescales for the development of Terra Life because it's quite a big project. But if you're interested in it, either watch the streams that are on Paul's channel on a Thursday when they restart, or I should be starting to because the plan is that those will be multiplayer in the future, with me and Paul playing, not open multiplayer because it's alpha testing of stuff. And so I'll be recording as well and then releasing a video probably over the weekend, from kind of my point of view. So yeah, that should be, you know, if the videos will be quite long still. You know, the streams are usually about 2 hours, and I won't be editing that much out. So it'll still be quite a long video, but if you want, you know, from my point of view, if you want to see me crash more, then yeah, those will be over here. I don't think it's going to take us very long to get this field planted because we have quite a big planter. So I'm going to get this finished up and I will be back. I have had another play and I think I've made some progress. So I opened up ProShot and had a look through the lure code that's in there and found the settings that it was setting, which were immense render distances. I put those in and yeah, we could see a very long way, but I took a huge performance hit, like 30 FPS. So what I did is I then just dialed it back slowly from there, and I think we've got something that's better, and you can see those cows way off in the distance. Yeah, but the trees are now not jumping out at us when we're half a meter from them, which is kind of nice. Do need to turn off the interactive triggers because I've kind of liking playing without those, particularly now that we're rendering so far. You can't see the ones way off, you know, almost at the sheep pen. So I think I'm happy with that. It feels blurry at a distance, and I think that's a setting that I can change again. I wonder if I can do that. I think that's like depth of field or something. Yeah. I'll have a look for that. But I think that looks a lot better. Definitely looks better. So I'm happier with that. Still getting almost 60 FPS. Pretty keen, pretty pleased with that. So we can put the seeder away now, or the planter. We're going to switch to the seeder. I need to get a roller. I'm actually going to get it delivered into this field. Yeah, because I'm going to need to roll the grass field as well. Because we're going to have to use this tractor to roll. I want to use the gigantic roller. I will bring the 960 back. Do that. I've turned back on hedge collisions. I need to turn them off so we could do the pumps and hoses stuff without having to worry. And we now have to think about hedge collisions and manoeuvring this 12-meter seeder planter, which is a big bit of kit. We are going to need to do a bit of give it a wash and things as well. I think for now, I'm actually going to park it up over here. Refuel. Go stick this on courseplay on the roller. Because I think the Valtreq will be able to run the seeder just fine. And I have installed another mod which I am going to replace the S series with, I think. Because it's a tractor that I love that I don't use enough. So I might actually use that to do the planting. No, this one needs to go on the roller. And the other one is going to go on the planter. Seeder. Piece of equipment that I want to use next. Yeah, it shouldn't take us long to plant the grass field, and then we'll call it a video. Might have got quite long already, but this is going to be done on courseplay. Don't really need to see field being rolled. Unroll that. Hopefully 2 headlands is enough. Big old bit of kit this. Back, thank you. See this, because it's so massive, it just goes down when you unfold it. It's only rolling, so it doesn't really matter. Let's get that off. Not sure what that reward was for. There's the, I keep saying S, it's a T. Either way, we're going to say goodbye to it. Delivered here. So it's one of my favorite tractors and I don't use it enough. Here I don't have to worry about the money. So the Deutz 9 series. Clearly we're going to go for the Warrior spec. Go for news. This is the modded one, so we can pick colors as well. And I think that's just awesome. Go for my usual number plate on the back only. We're going to buy that. Because it is one of my favorite tractors. And we're going to hook this up to the seeder. Go get some grass seeded. Couple of headlands done. Decided to just get those out of the way because just seeding grass really. It's not anything rocket science-ish. God, I hope this sound works. The mic levels are really low. Way lower than I expect, actually. Hopefully this will edit, otherwise I'll be re-recording all of the voiceover, I guess. Oh well. Joys of setting things up again on what is essentially a new computer. So Field 28 is being rolled, Field 29 is being rolled. I will roll this one off camera. And probably between this video and the next one, I would have skipped ahead to May, when we will be doing the grass work. That's the next job, and this field won't be ready to cut, but the rest should be. We'll also have an idea by then as to how grazing is working out for all the animals. In fact, excuse me, just check. Yeah, so they're sitting pretty good. Sheep are just fine. We might have to buffer feed the Limousines still. We'll see how they get on. I think there's a little piece in here that I have not seeded yet. Yeah, just there. So, yeah, I think this is probably more than a long enough video at this point. So, and I'm kind of nervous about that sound level that I've just noticed. So, I'm going to get this all edited up, and I will see you in May. And I should probably say all the usual stuff like, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button. You do not smash like buttons. If you smash it, you have to buy me a coffee. Link for that is below. Comments, questions or suggestions, stick those below as well. I think I've sorted the graphics one that I was asking about. And if you're new to the channel, click subscribe and turn on notifications, and I will see you next time.